With the endless ocean at your backyard, it's no wonder why Santa Barbara is known for its bustling fish economy. The sunny coastal city is in central California, hosting a diverse ecosystem of marine wildlife, from leaping dolphins to stagnant mussels dotting the undercarriage of local piers. Atop these piers are the people who contribute to Santa Barbara's vibrant city life. Everyday fishermen reeling in their lines to bring dinner to their families, crews loading onto boats for their daily trip out to the deep sea, and skilled chefs luring tourists into their restaurants with the scent of piping hot seafood. But what goes into creating this long-lived culture and tradition in Santa Barbara? In order to go fishing, there needs to be, well, fish. Oceanic fisheries are located at sea, in which certain fish populations are specifically bred and raised for consumption. The process of hatching and raising fish is referred to as brooding. Fisheries are an important way of combating overfishing by consistently doing stock assessments and repopulating the target species, as opposed to only relying on the natural supply.
Fisheries management is done by Pacific Fisheries Management Council, and they have scientists and advisory panels and experts in many different areas. And it's done very scientifically, and it's done very well. Our fisheries are very well managed for the sake of the golden word, sustainability. We want our kids and grandkids to be able to go out there and fish as well.
Our oceans and fisheries management are in fact facing problems with climate change.
There's increasing entanglement of humpback whales in the fishery as a result of climate change, and there's also increasing harmful algal blooms that produce a biotoxin that accumulates in the crab tissue and presents a public health risk to people when we consume the crab.
Climate change issues have led to fisheries being shut down, such as the abalone and sardine fisheries. Harmful algal blooms also encroach upon aquaculture farmers who grow animals under regulated conditions.
And they will shut down the harvesting of shellfish for a period of time and have shut it down so they can come on suddenly and shut the money-making machine down for 3, 4, 6 months at a time. And that disrupts everything. That disrupts the production cycle. That disrupts the harvesting cycle. Your customers go away. Instead of making money, you start losing money, and you never know when that's going away.
There is the all too familiar human-caused pollution, the more visually obvious one being trash bobbing in the waters and snagging onto wildlife. But there's also the more invisible pollutants, like city runoff. Goleta Bay, in fact, has a very specific issue with these types of urban spillage.
A big massive rain, and the county has a whole bunch of mud that they don't know what to do with. They have this tendency to send hundreds of truckloads of it down to Goleta Beach and dump it in Goleta Bay. That devastates the bay.
Not only does it harm that ecosystem, but it also affects subsistence fishermen. Subsistence fishing is when people fish to feed their families, and do so at a low economic cost, as it does not cost any money to park at Goleta Beach, and no license is required to fish off of piers in California.
For years, I had a little mini bait and tackle shop out on Goleta Pier. I got intimately familiar with that area, and I got familiar with the subsistence anglers that depend on that area for food for their kids tonight.
Spanning the years of 2014 to 2016, there was a heat wave that led to a 5.5 Celsius temperature increase in some parts of the Pacific Ocean. This heat wave was referred to as the blob.
Global warming, ocean acidification, I've noticed the mussels do not grow as well as they used to grow. So there's a lot of things where you would like to get more help from governments or research labs or whatnot, and then, you're not really. That's not really a thing.
An initiative that is being done in Goleta Bay is the Fish Reef Project, a nonprofit organization that aims to regrow kelp forests and restore coral reefs. Climate change is being seen by farmers and fishermen. It's harming their stock and their livelihood. The question becomes what to do in the face of this crisis. Fishing can most broadly be broken into two main categories: recreational and commercial fishing. Recreational fishing includes sport fishing and subsistence fishing, where the fish caught is not to be sold. Commercial fishing involves any practice that yields profit by selling to other people or companies. There are many subcategories that exist, but most fall somewhere within these two brackets. In order to fish, there are a lot of regulations and policies that need to be followed. Sometimes the regulations are so confusing and vague that it can be difficult to determine how to even remain within legal bounds. The Department of Fish and Wildlife is in charge of creating a lot of these policies.
It becomes very confusing to the average angler on depths, on quantities, on takes and stuff, and it changes so quickly that, the average person who's not like the captains looking at the DFW website, looking what the rules are changing, most people don't do that, so they don't know what has changed.
Marine Protected Areas, or MPAs, are regions of the ocean that have specific rules as to how they can be treated. Some MPAs allow people to boat through them, but not fish. Others prevent boats from coming near them at all. These regions are closed off to conserve wildlife in these regions or in giving land back to cultures that once lived there. According to Protected Planet, out of all the oceanic water, both in national waters and under no specific jurisdiction, 20% is under marine protection. This does leave a lot of ocean available, but it's important to note that many MPAs are located relatively close to land. Most fishermen are not traveling to remote waters to make a living. MPAs tend to be a point of contention for many who fish, as it limits access to water for fishing. The frustration is understandable, given it limits the ability to make a living, but also, MPAs are not implemented without purpose.
Closing some of the best areas to fishing creates compaction problems where we all have to now fish fewer remaining good areas.
Fishermen like Bacon and Vague are major proponents of Coastal Conservation Association California, CCA. They believe certain environmental groups are undermining the genuine efforts of conservationists by claiming all resource usage is bad and should be prohibited. Their work involves conducting stock assessments and keeping dwindling populations taken care of.
I think everybody should actually join CCA, get involved with CCA, look at the true and tried ways of how we scientifically do stuff.
Farmers like Friedman, as noted previously, do not feel supported by the government or by research universities like UCSB, which are right next door.
I think universities can really help to support growing aquaculture industries by partnering with farmers to figure out new sort of methods for farming or even developing and cultivating organisms with the traits we care about of fast growth, disease resistance, environmental tolerance. Lots of opportunities for good partnerships.
The fishing economy is very strong in Santa Barbara, and this leads to a lot of community connection. On Saturday mornings at the harbor from 6:30 a.m. to 11 a.m., fishermen set up booths to sell their catches directly to the public, sometimes even for direct consumption.
Okay, so this is my dad right here, and this is our boat. So he goes out Tuesday through Friday. This is our boat right here. And we fish at San Miguel Island, which is the farthest island out in the island chain. And we fish for crab and rockfish. And we come in on Friday and we set up on Saturday morning and sell our catch straight to the public. And any excess crab or fish we have, we'll sell to a third-party fish market, either down in Los Angeles or Santa Barbara Fish Market right on the corner right here. Recently, one of our crab markets closed down, so production, kind of lowered production, and the Saturday market's been getting better and better. So this has kind of been able to sustain us just doing this. So there's abalone and kelp that's raised in the abalone farm in Gaviota. There's a flay station that flays all the fish for you once you buy your whole fish, so you don't have to do it at home if you don't want to. There's uni. They shove it in front of you. You can eat it fresh right in front of them.
Santa Barbara even has outlets for kids to get involved.
I started a beach camp 2 years ago called Lobster Jaws Beach Camp in order to get in touch with the Santa Barbara community. I was hoping to hang out with 15 kids at the beach, and it turned into this grand scale operation where I'm hanging out with 50 kids a week at the beach. And this year we're opening Lobster Jaws Art Camp, which will be in the Funk Zone.
During this research, I was invited onto a party boat by Stardust Fishing. On board, it was evident the crews care for fishing. As people who did not know how to catch fish, such as myself, or others who were potentially experienced, would reel in catches, the anticipation was always still on high. I too was able to feel that excitement, the strain of reeling a line in, yet feeling so rewarded when the fish could be seen below the surface. I will explain the parts of the rod and how we set it up for fishing. The line has 2 hooks for the potential to catch 2 fish, and a large weight at the end to sink deep into the water. To put bait on, we would scoop sardines out of the bins and pierce their heads onto the hook, along with a little squid bait. There's the rod tip, which is what you pay the most attention to. If it dips, that likely means you have something on the line. Reeling it in, the string goes through the guides and into the reel seat. If this rod were commissioned by a custom rod maker like Vague, then the handle could be personally woven and the rod length could be altered for specific body types. Santa Barbara cares deeply for the fish they catch so that they may eat delicious food, but also in protecting the environment for future generations and building camaraderie around these activities.